Hi there. In this video, I'm going to show you the data ingestion part. So let's start. First file we'll create is inside the US visa, inside the constants, inside the init file which we have already created. So as you can see, I have written the code. This we have already written previously. This is the new code. Now, these are just a bunch of names of folder that we want. So this is the pipeline name, US visa, the artifact name, the directory in which our artifacts will be stored. The name of it is artifact. The file name US visa.csv for our data. This is for train and test. And yeah, these are the data ingestion related variables. So for collection name, we have kept visa data. For our directory name, data ingestion. For our feature store directory, feature store is the name, and ingested and float is equal to 0.2. This is our train test split ratio that we are defining here. So these are the bunch of constants, and we'll create another file inside the US visa folder, inside the where is the entity? Yeah, entity. We have created two new files, as you can see, config entity and artifact entity. So let's see what is in it there. So this is the code I have written already inside the config entity file. So we are importing all our constants which we defined here, and data class. This data class we are from date time we are importing date time. This is the timestamp we are capturing to give our folder names properly. So, and yeah, this is the class we have written, training pipeline config. So pipeline name, we are taking the pipeline name. Then we are taking the artifact directory and storing it there. So what we are doing here is inside the artifact directory, we are creating a new folder which will be based on this timestamp, right? So yeah, that is that. Timestamps are the timestamp. So we are storing it here, and we are calling this function and storing it in this training pipeline config, right? So yeah, and this is the new class data ingestion config. So as you can see in this, we are storing we are joining the path. So in artifact directory, we are storing data ingestion dir name. So it might seem confusing, but let me explain. So this training pipeline config, it is from here artifact directory. We are storing data ingestion directory name. So where is the artifact directory? So yeah, you can see this is the artifact directory, and inside that artifact folder, we are storing data ingestion directory name. So where is this data injection directory name? As you can see here, right? So it is coming from there. For data ingestion here, yeah, in data ingestion directory, we are storing data ingestion feature store dir, and in data ingestion directory, we are also storing train file and test file. Okay, so let me explain what is this data ingestion feature store directory file name. So in data ingestion, feature store directory. So in feature store, we are in this folder, we are storing the file name, which is usvisa.csv. And then in this data ingestion dir, we are storing train file name and test file name. So what is that? In our ingested folder, we are storing train.csv and test.csv. So this is what it means. So don't get confused. Okay. Yeah. So this is good. Here we are storing our ratio, which is 10 plus split ratio, which is 0.2, and collection name. So I think this is simple to understand. Let's move to new file. So this is our artifact entity. Code in it, there is only one class here, data ingestion artifact, which we'll use in as we go further. So as you can see, I have only passed the key. I have not given the value, right? So for the here, I have kept empty the value because we are going to pass it further in our data ingestion.py later. So now I have created a new file which is in components. So let me show you. In US Visa, we have components in which I have created a new file data ingestion.py, right? So let me show you code inside it. So this is our data ingestion file. Now this is the basic imports. This is train plus split. Now from config entity, we are getting this class. From artifact entity, we are getting this class. From exception, this is the previously we have written logging and exception, and US Visa data. This is for fetching our data from MongoDB and converting it to a data frame, right? This is also we have done previously. So class data ingestion. So as you can see, just a second, yeah, as you can see, we are calling the data ingestion config function which is there, and we are getting we are storing all these names inside this data ingestion config variable, right? So now this is the function we have written, export data into feature store. So I have properly added comments. You can read method name, description, and what it does. Data is returned as artifact of data ingestion component. So this is what returns our artifacts, right? So this is the logging we have done. So exporting data from MongoDB, and we are calling the US Visa data, which will fetch our data from MongoDB and convert it into data frame and then store it here, right? So yeah, this is we are giving just a collection name here. This collection name which we have given here, as you can see. Where is it? Is it here? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, that is simple. It will print the shape of data frame which is received, and yeah, this is all good. Okay, it will give us the log that's saving exported data into which file it is saving. It will show us that in the logs, and we are converting this into CSV, and then we are returning the data frame. Yeah, so I think this is simple. This function will return us usvisa.csv in our artifacts, which I'll show you after we run this. So this is split data as train and test function. It is also simple. It just takes it uses this function. We have already given the train test split ratio, which is from here, as you can see, right? So mm, this is good. We are just doing the logging, perform train test split, exited, etc., etc. I think this is good. Train.csv, and we are converting the train set and the test set which we have received into CSV. And finally, we'll give a log exported train test file path. Okay, so this is good. Initiate data ingestion. So now, instead of use calling all this function, this export data, split data, so we don't want to call it separately. So we have written a new function which is initiate data ingestion. So it will run both the above function on its own automatically, right? When we just call this function. So yeah, so it is the first calling this export data into feature store, this, right? So now login got data. So this is the basic logging, perform train test split. Now data ingestion artifact. So it is also calling this function data ingestion artifact, right? Which is from here, as you can see, right? Okay. So we are passing the train file path. As I told you, we will pass the path from here data ingestion. So we have passed the path from here training file path and testing file path, right? Okay. So this is good. Okay. think this is good. And we got this training file path and testing file path from here, as you can see, right? Training file name and testing file name. So this will be created, and this is why we are giving it to this train file path variable, and then we are calling this data ingestion artifact. Okay, this is good. Data ingestion. Yeah, so similar for this. Now we are returning the data ingestion artifact, and if there is an issue, we'll raise an exception, obviously, right? So I think this code is straightforward. Now we already had the demo.py file, which is here outside the USB the folder, and I have written some code to test all our files which we have written now. So this is what we had previously, right? The MongoDB client, INS, and these things, right? So now I'm going to comment it. This is not needed. It's okay. Just a second. Okay. Now, as you can see, from USB's entity, we are just importing config, the artifact, and from data ingestion, we are importing the data ingestion part, right? Now, we are creating a data ingestion instance by just calling this data ingestion and giving this data ingestion config. And we will also call our initiate data ingestion, which is this function, main function. So we are calling it, and we are creating a new variable, which is our data ingestion artifact. Okay, this is it. Now I have written this code, and I have also ran it to see if it works or not. Let me show you. So I hope you can see this. Yeah. So as you can see, first I have just activated my virtual environment. Then I have cleared the logs if there are any previous logs which we have got while testing demo.py previously. So I have cleared that, and now I have tried to run demo.py. But as you can see, there is an exception which is raised. Where is it? Let me show you. Yeah. Can you see this error message? MongoDB URL is not set. So I forgot to give the environment variable, which is the MongoDB URL. So this is what we have written in the code. So it has shown as the exception. So now I have passed the MongoDB URL, as you can see, and then we have ran the python demo.py, and you can see it ran successfully. And when I go to our folders, it has created logs for us. This is when I ran the demo.py for first time without the MongoDB URL. There is no logging done there because it raised an exception. This is the second time we ran our demo.py successfully. So let me show you what's in there. Yeah, if you can see, we all this logging we have done in code, we have written the logs. You can see it. MongoDB connection successful, entered initiate data ingestion method, exporting data from MongoDB, etc., etc., exporting train and test plate, exporting train test file plate, perform train, etc., etc., etc. So this is the final one, exited data ingestion method, and this shows that our method was successful. Our components which we have written is working for now. And you can see it has created a new folder name artifact, which we have given in our code, and it has created a new folder inside artifact, which you can see the date and time format, right? And inside that, it has created a folder data ingestion, and inside that there are two folders which we have seen, which I have shown you in code, that inside feature store we are going to store the usb, the .csv, and inside ingested we are going to store the data after splitting train.csv and test.csv, as you can see. So yeah, we have this stored inside the artifacts. So yeah, I think this is good. And as you can see, this is working. So why this artifacts is important to create? Because see, when we are running a pipeline, if some of the components runs properly and one component fails, then we need something from where we can continue. So this artifact stores the outputs of the components which is running successfully. So if one component fails, then we can continue from there by using the artifacts which we have in our physical file thing, right? So if we don't create these artifacts, and if we rely on memory, then everything will be stored on memory. And if one component fails, then we have to run a whole pipeline again, and we cannot continue from where we had the problem, right? So artifact is important in that sense. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you.